Good morning, everybody. The Vice Chancellor, the Chairman of the Local Organizing Committee, Principal Officers of both Federal University Lokoja and the Center for Atmospheric Research, members of the LAOC, invited guests, members of the press, fellow scientists, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to stand before you as the fourth substantive Director General of the National Space Research and Development Agency and as guest speaker in this important meeting. I appreciate these conferences organizers, that is Federal University Lokoja and Center for Atmospheric Research, for combining ideas and resources to develop this first international conference on atmospheric, earth and space sciences here in Lokoja. Considering the multidimensional activities in the space environment, it is undoubtedly the right call at the right time. Technically speaking, pollution is key and it is a threat to human existence due to the fact that a total of 6.7 million premature deaths have been linked to the combined effect of household and ambient air pollution per annum, as established by the World Health Organization. Nigeria's Energy Transition Plan, ETP, targets to achieve net zero emission by 2060, while meeting the nation's energy needs, also call for a collective stringent measure on climate and quality issues. Ladies and gentlemen, air pollution is a silent killer. Therefore, all hands must be on deck to wrestle against its threats to humanity and our ecosystems. From the northern to the southern hemisphere, even in the equatorial region, air quality is rapidly declining, mainly due to population growth and industrialization. It has pressurized scientists to hunt for approaches to sustain the atmosphere and lessen its negative consequences on public health. Therefore, I only say that the theme of this conference, Atmospheric and Environmental Sciences for Sustainable Development, has succinctly captured one of the most recent challenges confronting global communities. Interestingly, this challenge falls within the mandate of the National Space Research and Development Agency, and specifically the Center for Atmospheric Research, Anyigba, here in Kogi State. Air pollution is more pronounced in prominent Nigerian cities like Kano, Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, Onitsha, and Port Harcourt, due to the population and anthropogenic activities, including gas flaring from crude oil exploration, quite unlike the rural communities with few of such activities. Over the past few years, specifically in 2017, sooty air has enveloped the ambient air of Port Harcourt City, as reported by Yahoo in 2018. A year later, hazy and choky air laden with high aerosol concentrations from diverse resources, including landfills, has taken over some areas of Lagos for weeks. During that period, residents had to lock their doors and windows in order to minimize the adverse effects on themselves. More recently, observations have shown that many towns in Nigeria are experiencing a highly unhealthy air quality index. All of these point to the fact that there is a need for routine and adequate air quality monitoring in the country. In this regard, our center, as one of the activity centers of NASRDA, has this as one of its main missions. Capacity building, observation and research on the atmosphere, which includes space weather and the environment, are significant aspects of the center's mode of operations. This is because the atmospheric condition is dynamic Therefore, localizing the space weather facilities across different locations in the country is a promising approach for effective observations. As such, and as part of strategies to accomplish this, the Center has spread different sophisticated and atmospheric weather facilities across different geopolitical zones, which we will show you later in our slides. Ladies and gentlemen, it is no longer news that Nigeria's currency is experiencing a pendulum reaction from a socio-economic and technological standpoint. Considering this illiquidity of foreign exchange, freight costs, and promoting the adoption of local content, CAR has established another initiative tagged Atmospheric Research Software and Instrumentation Development. This we will also discuss in a few minutes. In addition, with the permission of NASRDA, the Center has established a network of space laboratories in various locations in the country. The center has recognition as a global center for excellence in observing space and weather environmental sciences. When you visit the website www.carnasda.com, you see everything there. Now, please let me seize this opportunity to remind all that developing a sustainable society is paramount and a collective effort for all of us, the scientists, industrialists, politicians, and all of us. This is because the result of investigation by researchers requires the enactment of policies by our lawmakers. However, these policies will not be implemented without the support and cooperation of the executives, who are politicians. On this note, I appeal to all our political class to strongly support researchers and industrialists in improving societal livelihoods. Ladies and gentlemen, idea needs financial backing, without which it may not see the brightness of the day. There are obstacles to overcome, ranging from inadequate funding to a lack of monetary equipment. Financing this kind of notable research requires a holistic approach. Therefore, we must look beyond government finances. Scientists should be encouraged to develop proposals to facilitate international support and research grants to accomplish their aims and objectives. Therefore, local and international collaboration should be encouraged and explored. And in this regard, national doors are quite open for a workable collaboration. As I recap this speech, I must point out that the takeaways of this lecture are as follows. 1. Mitigating the climate-induced gases and air pollutants, which is paramount to sustainable living. Air pollution is a silent killer, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, all hands must be on deck to wrestle against its threats to humanities and ecosystems. Air pollution is more pronounced in prominent Nigerian cities due to the population and anthropogenic activities, including mining, transportation, deforestation, even agriculture, construction works, and gas flaring. NASA has established various initiatives to mitigate and address these negative consequences. There's a need for constant awareness, adequate monitoring, and investigation. Developing a sustainable society is paramount and a collective effort of all of us, scientists, industrialists, and others towards fulfillment of the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. Researchers should look beyond government funding and are encouraged to explore international grants and support. NASA doors, I repeat, are quite open for workable collaboration and partnership as we outline our 3-point agenda as follows. 1. Transformation of NASRDA towards global competitiveness. 2. To unleash the greatness within our staff to manifest their individual dreams. And finally, mainstreaming the private sector into Nigerian space ecosystems. Scholars, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a fruitful deliberation during this academic meeting. This place, as I have presented the DG's keynote address, permit me to invite Dr. Najib Yusuf from the Center for Administrative Research and present some of the details of NASRDA's and the Center for Administrative Research activities on behalf of his director too. Thank you very much.
The Vice Chancellor, sir, executive members of the High Table, the professors present here, the doctors, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on the existing protocol. Good morning. My name is Dr. Najib Yusuf. I'm going to make a quick presentation because of time on NASRDA mandates and activities towards saving lives, ecosystem, and the environment. These are the outline of the presentation, starting from the NASRDA itself and down to the conclusion. The history of NASRDA. NASRDA stands for National Space Research and Development Agency, which is an agency under the Federal Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, and it was established during the former President Olusegun Obasanjo tenure in 1999 after the space policy of Nigeria. These are, as I mentioned, 1999. These are some of the pictures of NASRDA. Here is the main gate of NASRDA, and this is the space application. This is the main building of NASRDA, that is very block. And here you can see this is the satellite ground station. Nigerian Sat 1, Nigerian Sat 2, Nigerian Sat X, and Nigerian Communication Satellite. These are the ground station where the satellites will be monitored here in Nigeria. Okay, this is the meeting of the former DG with the former president and the vice president back in 2001 when they updated the national space policy. These are the centers of NASRDA. NASRDA has activity centers located at different locations in the country, and one of them up there is the Center for Atmospheric Research that is located in Kogi State. And then the other centers are Center for Geodesy and Geodynamics in Toro. We have Center for Basic Space Science that deals with astronomy in Suga, and then the rest. National Center for Reconnaissance in Jos. Each center is mandated to carry out a specific task to fulfill the mandates of NASRDA. This NASRDA also established advanced laboratories across the country in different locations in order to take research at various locations of the country evenly. We have advanced space technology application laboratory in Ile-Ife, in Uyo, in Kano, in Lantan, Abakaliki, Kashere in Gombe, Oka-Okobo in Ondo State, South in Zamfara, and then Uburu in Ebonyi State. I think it's the latest one to be established by NASRDA. And then these are the satellite. Nigeria Sat 1 was launched in 2003. Matchcom Sat 1 was launched in 2007, and it's the one that accidentally is no longer in orbit and is replaced by Nigerian Sat X. And we have the latest satellite, Nigeria A2Sat, in collaborations that was established, that was launched in 2017. Those are the images from the satellite, most likely Nigeria Sat X images. Please, next slide. Okay, now I will concentrate. I hadn't known some of the centers of NASRDA, but here I'm going to make a more presentation on the Center for Atmospheric Research. As I said earlier, it's one of the activity centers of NASRDA out of the 7 that was established in January 2013. It is located in Anyigba, and that's the latitude, longitude, and the altitude of the location Anyigba here in Kogi State. And currently we have staff capacity of about 235 staff. These are the mandate of the center, providing training and research, both in lower atmosphere and the upper atmosphere, in atmospheric chemistry, environmental science, geomagnetism, trans-ionospheric radio propagation, solar physics, and space airways. We provide an understanding of the air around us, the interconnected processes from the earth core through the atmosphere to the sun's core, and provide research facilities and services for the atmospheric and Earth's communities. CAR mission is to understand the entire behavior of the atmospheric spectrum and the related physical, biological, and chemical processes that is going on in the atmosphere, to promote capacity building development in relevant atmospheric sciences as a way of facilitating international competitiveness in research being conducted by the atmosphere, and to disseminate the data. CAR has research facilities that disseminate data, and the data is meteorological variables data, greenhouse gases, and air pollutants, and the relevant data to that towards achieving the fulfillment of the New York agenda of Mr. President. And CAR operates in 3 modes, of course. Before you establish any center, you need capacity building. And when you train people, then now you need observations. Without observatories, without research facilities, you cannot be able to do any research. So with the established facilities, you can now conduct research. So the CAR operates in these 3 modes. And the Research and Development Division of CAR happens to have 3 major departments. We have science, we have engineering, and we have ICT. This is the research units of CAR. Each particular aspect of research is categorized as in a unit with the head of unit under a particular department. These are the research projects of CAR. We have Trojan. So Trojan today has recorded over 1,000 utilization of Trojan data across the country, including the scientists abroad. Trojan stands for Tropospheric Data Acquisition Network. We have sworn on. We do it in such a way that each particular project is under a particular unit, so that the mandate of that particular unit within the mandate of CAR is carried out through that particular project. And we have sworn on Space Weather Observation Network over Nigeria, and sworn over is expanding that towards West African Peninsula. And then this is the project that concentrates on the upper atmosphere, the ionosphere, the magnetosphere, and the heliospheric physics, the interconnected processes that happen between the solar activity and the upper atmosphere, the space weather, and so many of such projects. Some of them we will highlight more about them. Atmospheric chemistry is the project that was the atmospheric measurement at CAR. As I said earlier, we have so many projects. One of the projects is Trojan, Tropospheric Data Acquisition Network, established back in 2007 in collaboration with the University of Delaware in the United States. His staff was sent for training, and when he came back, he continued training our staff. Now many of our staff can be able to handle this. And this is a network. Currently we have 18 stations across Nigeria in different states of the country, where we take measurement of 9 atmospheric variables simultaneously. And this is a project that already, as I mentioned, it provides PhDs, MNCs, and high-level communication around the world. These are the locations of the stations in Nigeria. You can see the map. All the blue dots are Trojan projects, and all the red dots are ATPAM projects, atmospheric monitoring parameters, where we measure some air pollutants, such as carbon monoxide, ozone, methane, and so on. These are the instrumentation of the equipment, the sensor specifications, and the accuracy. This is a sample of the data. To access this data is free of charge. You can simply go to NASRDA.com downtrodden data, and then you can see a form and the availability of this instrumentation and the available duration so that you can just apply and you can have the data without spending anything. And this is a ground institute. And this is the first network of automatic weather station in the country. These are some of the results from the published articles from CAT staff. Next slide, please. Next slide, next slide, next. Oh, the benefits. I'm sure by now people will start thinking of the benefits. So these are the benefits. The last one is over 1,000 users have been utilizing the data for a long period of about 13 years today. Next slide, please. This is atmospheric chemistry and environmental research, ESA. This is where we try to, with the recent change of name of the Ministry of Science and Technology of Innovation, we try to fabricate, to construct and design locally by our engineering department. Next. These are some of the health effects of airport hotels: acute lower respiratory illness, cerebrovascular diseases, asthma, and the rest. These are some of the results also published already. Go ahead, next please, because of time. Oh, this is the car ozone monitor. Ozone, we all know that it's a greenhouse gas and at the same time it's a pollutant. It drops the crop yields. If the level of ozone is above the standard, EPA standard, then you tend to have drop in agricultural produce. And this is the first ozone monitor in the country back in 2017. Yes. Next. Okay, I expect this is SWANOA, Space Weather Observation Network. Next, please. This is the distribution of SWANOA over the country with an expansion over Africa. Next. This is one of the pictures from the workshop we held in microgravity human space technology unit. Next, please. Next, please. I mentioned this. Okay. Now, CAR has series of laboratories. Some established by CAR, some are in collaboration with other universities. We, with the Federal University of Lokoja, we established an annex office in 2023, where we expect to host state-of-the-art facilities, capacity building for students, especially we supervise some students across the country, and co-supervision of students from this university, and also data dissemination. Various departments will need data. Institute measurement, they can quickly go to that laboratory, or they can apply online, and then they can have access to all the data we have free of charge. And then internal collaboration with other departments. And these are some of the space research laboratories that are manned by CAR, National Air Quality Research Laboratory, Space Environmental Research Laboratory, and the rest. Go ahead, please. These are some of the results from the SWANOA projects of ionospheric content. That is the total electron content in the ionosphere. This is something to do with radio communication in the ionosphere. Without having this knowledge, we will not be able to have a good propagation of signal in the ionosphere. Go ahead, please. These are some of the pictures of our collaboration with various universities. In the next presentation, definitely, Federal University of Lokoja will be there. Next. In conclusion, we invite you to build a collaboration with us in areas of atmospheric research and related sciences. CAR data is provided free of charge to any users in Nigeria and elsewhere. And through knowledge sharing and exchange of ideas, we can work together towards building a sustainable and progressive system and fulfillment of the renewable agenda of Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for the DG and his team. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir. Taking us further will be the keynote paper 2 to be presented by Professor Fatima Onariwaju, Director of Academic Planning, Kogi State University, Kababa. Please a round of applause as he comes. Thank you, sir.
The Vice Chancellor, the FUL Principal Officers, the DG NASRDA, the DG CAP, the lead hip-hop presenter, distinguished guests, esteemed scholars, colleagues, and participants. It is a great honor to stand before you at this landmark event, the first international conference on atmospheric, earth, and space sciences. I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to NASRDA and its Center for Atmospheric Research and Scientific Advancement. The theme of the conference, Atmospheric and Environmental Sciences for Sustainable Development, is not only relevant to our current challenges, but imperative for securing the future of our planet and its inhabitants. The interconnectedness of atmosphere, environment, and development. Today we are gathered because there is a disconnect, a disharmony between the natural systems and development. As we gather to address the present issues of intersection of atmospheric and environmental sciences, it is crucial to recognize the profound impacts these sciences have on our broader goals of sustainable development. Sustainable development, as defined by Brundtland Commission, seeks to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. Achieving this balance requires a deep understanding of how our natural systems, especially atmospheric and environmental processes, interact with human activities. This knowledge informs decisions in agriculture, energy, health, infrastructure, and resource management, all of which are pillars of sustainable development. A catalyst of climate change and resilience. Atmospheric science encompasses the study of the Earth's atmosphere and its complex interaction with other systems, including ocean, land, human activities. In recent decades, atmospheric research has brought to light the severity of climate change, driven largely by human activities such as deforestation and the combustion of fossil fuels. The consequent increase in greenhouse gases has altered weather patterns and intensified extreme climate events, threatening sustainable development globally. Climate change and its impact on development. Climate change is perhaps the greatest threat to global sustainability. In Nigeria, like many other African nations, climate-induced challenges such as flooding, droughts, and desertification disproportionately affect the most vulnerable communities. These environmental shifts exacerbate food insecurity, undermine water availability, and increase the spread of diseases such as malaria and cholera. Atmospheric science provides the data and models necessary to understand these changes, enabling government to design effective mitigation and adaptation strategies. For instance, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, continues to play a pivotal role in providing weather forecasts that inform agricultural practices, especially in rural communities. Most importantly, satellite-based atmospheric research has allowed us to track the changes in rainfall patterns, thereby providing critical early warnings for impending floods and storms. Such knowledge is key to protecting lives, safeguarding infrastructure, and promoting resilience in our cities and rural communities alike. Air quality and public health. Beyond climate, the state of our atmosphere directly influences public health. Poor health quality, particularly in urban areas and industrial zones, has led to increased incidences of respiratory illnesses, cardiovascular diseases, and premature deaths. in Nigeria's rapidly growing cities. Industrial emission, vehicle exhaust, and biomass burning remain major contributors to air pollution. Cities like Lagos and Abuja have recorded significant increase in our pollution levels, leading to severe health risk for urban population. By harnessing advancements in atmospheric sciences, such as air quality monitoring, networks, satellite data scientists, and policymakers can develop strategies to mitigate air pollution and improve health outcomes. Center for Atmospheric Research has been at the forefront of these efforts, working to establish robust systems for real-time air quality monitoring across Nigeria. Environmental sciences are protecting ecosystems and promoting sustainability. Environmental sciences complement atmospheric sciences by focusing on the interaction between living organisms and their environment. This field is essential for understanding our human activities. Agriculture, urbanization, industrialization affects ecosystems, biodiversity, ecosystem degradation, and biodiversity loss. Unsustainable land use practices, including deforestation, overgrazing, poor waste management, have contributed to significant ecosystem degradation in Nigeria. In Nigeria, loss of forest cover estimated at about 410,000 hectares annually has devastating impacts on biodiversity, local climate regulation, and carbon sequestration. This degradation not only undermines environmental resilience, but also jeopardizes the livelihood of communities that depend on natural resources. Environmental scientists have a critical role to play in developing and advocating sustainable land management practices by employing methods such as reforestation, agroforestry, and sustainable agricultural practices. We can restore degraded ecosystems, protect biodiversity, and ensure the continued provision of ecosystem services vital for human survival. The pollution and environmental health, air and water pollution are among the major environmental issues facing urban and rural population. Atmospheric sciences assess the impact of pollutants on human health and ecosystems. For instance, the context of Kogi State and the surrounding regions, we must confront the environmental challenges posed by rapid urbanization and the cement industry, on the contamination of water bodies that have negatively affected agriculture, industry, and public health. We have 2 functional cement factories today in the country. Bridging atmospheric and science for sustainable development. The integration of atmospheric and environmental sciences is crucial to advancing sustainable development. While atmospheric sciences provide critical insights into climate dynamics and weather patterns, environmental sciences focuses on the broader implication for ecosystems and human well-being. Together, these fields enable us to make informed decisions on resource management, urban planning, agriculture, and energy production, ensuring that the development is not only sustainable, but also resilient to the impacts of environmental change. Now, the Sustainable Development Goals and science. The intersection of atmospheric and environmental sciences provides a robust framework for understanding how nature and anthropogenic factors influence the Earth systems. This understanding must guide our strategies for achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, particularly goals related to SDG 13, SDG 15, SDG 3, SDG 7. These goals are particularly relevant for Nigeria and other developing nations as we confront rapid urbanization, industrialization, biodiversity conservation, sustainable land use, and increase in energy demands. To meet these challenges, of sustainable development, we must embrace scientific innovation and technologies that minimize environmental footprints and promote efficient resource use. Regional collaboration and innovation. As we look ahead, it is clear that collaboration will be essential to address the environmental challenges we face. Institutions like NASRDA, Center for Atmospheric Research, and the Federal University Lokoja are already playing pivotal roles in advancing scientific research and fostering with international organizations and universities, among others. This conference exemplifies the kind of regional and global collaboration that is needed to accelerate process towards sustainable development. Furthermore, investments in education, capacity building, and technology transfer will be key to empowering the next generation of scientists, engineers, and policy makers to take on the environmental challenges of the 21st century. In conclusion, a call to action. In conclusion, the intersection of atmospheric and environmental sciences offer us powerful tools to build a sustainable future. As we gather here today at this conference, let us recommit ourselves in advancing scientific research, promoting policy integration, and fostering international collaboration. Our collective action will shape the future of our planet and the well-being of generations to come. I leave you with this challenge. Let us continue to push the boundaries of scientific discovery, transform knowledge into action, and work together to ensure that the development pathways we choose today are not only sustainable but just, inclusive, and resilient. Thank you for your attention. I wish you all fruitful celebration throughout this conference.
Thank you, sir. That is Professor Ifatime. I thought we would clap better. The tone for this conference has been set. And you'll agree with me that there is no better time to address these concerns and these challenges than now. And we're privileged to host this in Federal University of Lokoja. Please, one more time, a round of applause for our presenters. Thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor has directed that we take a moment, just a moment, say 5 to 10 minutes to relax, stretch out our legs, and then return for the lead paper. Please take this 10 minutes and we'll be back shortly. Thank you very much. Yes, Professor Esme Musasa, the chair 2, you kindly lead our guests and then the deans and directors to the details. Thank you very much. High table is already been attended to. The rest of us, please just get ready. It will be a turn shortly after the deans and directors. Media, please, let's have some.
Madam.
Our very distinguished guests, please, can we return to our seats so that we can make progress this morning? The tea break is over. I would like to ask you to please let's return to our seats. Thank you for your understanding. If you're still outside, please can you return to your seat, please? We need to begin immediately with the second segment of this opening ceremony of the first international conference on the theme Atmospheric and Environmental Sciences for Sustainable Development. Please, if you're still outside, we'd like you to come in and take your seats, please. All right, media, thank you. We will keep the sound now. Media, thank you. The Vice Chancellor has directed that all ceremonies at the back be suspended right away. Please, all ceremonies at the back there, please, let it be suspended. Distinguished guests, you'll agree that we said earlier that the tone for this conference has been set with the Vice Chancellor's very scintillating opening remark, the one that came from the DG, and the two keynote papers. And so to take us further, I'd like to invite to the microphone Chairman of the Education, ladies and gentlemen, the Chairman, University Lecture Series, Chairman, this conference, and the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor NASRDA, as he comes to do what he has to do for this event. A round of applause so that we know you are with us. Thank you very much.
The Chairman of this conference, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, without that permission, I would like to ask Professor Ojugo to stand and remain standing while I introduce him to the audience. Professor. The Chairman, sir, standing before you is Professor Akodiagaga Ovuyo Beraye Ojugo. Akodiagaga, the meaning, one's existence in the world is by the grace of God. That's right. Ovuyo Beraye means everyone has his own or her own destiny. And that was why in 2002 that General Buhari came and the management environment was dissolved. You were also part of the dissolved management. But in 2023 December, you reappeared. You are indeed in charge of destiny. He is a native of Akwara Inland, Ethiopian East Local Government area of Delta State. He studied science, education, geography from Bengal State University, Amusali University, Ekuma. Master of Science in Geography, PhD in Geography from University of Ibadan and University of Nigeria. Professor Ojugo taught geography at the Adamawa State Post Primary Management Board and then College of Education, Agbo, Delta State. And finally, got employed at the University of Benin in 1998 as lecturer 1 and rose through the rank to become a professor in 2010. A renowned climatologist whose research interests include agroclimatology, applied climatology, echnoclimatology, urban climatology, atmospheric and environmental quality assessment, hydro and agrometeorology, and tourism. Professor Ojugo has published over 80 articles in book chapters, monographs, local and international journals, and has supervised over 2 dozens of postgraduate and undergraduate students. He is the president. He was the immediate president of Association of Nigerian Geographers. He is the current first vice president, Nigerian Meteorological Society, vice chairman of Social Services Committee of the International Association of Meteorological Education, and former National Council member, Nigerian Environmental Society. He has attended several local, national, and international conferences, workshops, and seminars with the World Meteorological Organization. Professor Ojugo is a focal training officer for the World Meteorological Organization in Nigeria. He is a member, World Meteorological Organization Executive Council Capacity Development Panel, representing Global World Meteorological Organization Regional Training Centers. He is an expert team member of World Meteorological Organization Human Resources Development in charge of education and training. He is an expert team member of capacity development through World Meteorological Organization Technical Department. Professor Ojugo holds a multi-task responsibility concurrently. Currently, he is overseer, World Meteorological Organization Regional Training Institute, Oshodi, Lagos. Rector, Muhammad Buhari Meteorological Training Center, Dauran, Katsina. And he currently sits as the Director, Research and Training of NIMET. Chairman and members are introduced to the podium. Professor Apolio Gaga Ojugo to come forward for his lecture. Thank you very much.
The Vice Chancellor, sir, members of the table this way, but everybody's on the high. And members on the other side of the table, ladies and gentlemen, and we also want to recognize the press people because if you don't recognize them, they will distort your face. Yes, our German tried for the anywhere that the name is called, it always adds to life. Because they say, if you laugh, honestly, some hours or years will be added to your name for your life. So whether in Nigeria, Africa, once you pronounce that name, you must laugh. So let me help you pronounce that. We can laugh a little. Professor Ojugo Peter Apodio Gaga of Uyo Ironi. Yes. See, if you see name like this, you don't need to ask me the person but my dressing is Nigerian dressing. Because of the dressing like this, if I go to my station in Katsina, the first time I dressed like this, I went there, they changed my name from here and they gave me a name of somebody who looked like my structure. So once I go to Katsina, they call me Alaji Gambo. All right, so let's go to the main work of the day. Yes, the topic is a bit broad, so I try as much as possible to touch the areas that the conference is structured to touch. Details of each of the sections will be given when different lectures will be given. So, I try to look at environmental science because the three things I see in the conference: environmental science, atmospheric science, and sustainable development. So I look at environmental science as an interdisciplinary field of study that helps to understand the complex interconnectivity of environmental components. And environmental components are mainly two. We have physical environment and also the human environment. So based on this, the interplay between them are determined more by the humans. The atmospheric science is also an interdisciplinary field that studies the interactions, processes, structure, and dynamics of the atmosphere. If we're looking from a broader perspective, we're going to see later, atmospheric science is a child of environmental science. So that can be subsumed. Then the concept, which I find difficult to actually actualize in the real sense of life, is the sustainable development, which says a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. If we are to meet our own now fully, satisfactorily, the possibility of the future to remain the same may not necessarily be true. But let's take it the way it is accepted globally and follow it like that. Now, these are components of environmental science. If you look at the first one, the right side, which has the darker color, look at the biological and the physical sciences. While the one to the left of it, you have ethnics, philosophy, political science, look at the social aspect. If you leave the biological and environmental science aspect alone, which is the right aspect, obviously there will not be much changes in the environment. The environment will try to maintain its own self, but because of the left aspect, definitely the right aspect is distorted. The other one is also a part of it, looking at the general, what makes the environmental science. So all of this tells on the environment. Well, then let's see. Now the atmospheric science. These are the key areas of atmospheric science. Climatology is there, meteorology, then we'll have the oceanography, the aeronomy, which talk about the atmospheric physics and also atmospheric science. Now let's see sustainable development. For it to be sustainable, the environment is there. The social and economic aspect must interplay with the environment. While the environment and the social aspect need to be bearable, the environment and economic aspect need to be viable for it to be sustainable. While the social and economic aspect need to be equitable. These are areas, these are things that in actual sense, they are not easy to attain. But we see how we can be able to attain such ones. Next. In this conference, I tried to conceptualize the 8 goals out of the 17 SDGs that this conference is trying to look at. And the 8 ones that are here, I know that my country, Nigeria, is almost attaining all of them. Is that not? Is there hunger in Nigeria? Go number 2. Is there hunger in Nigeria? see, I went to buy something in the kiosk, and somebody came to buy milk cup of rice. That is why it is good that we men at times we should go to market so that we know how it is like. They say a milk of rice is 500 naira. Just a milk of rice, raw rice. So how many can people buy to feed? So if you say there is one guy in the land, I will take it. What about good health? No good health? Relative. Sustainable energy, there is. None? But the VC is trying to bring one now. So that can be sustainable. What about sustainable cities and communities? So if you look at the climate action, life below water, land, life on land, all of them is a problem to achieve. This morning, I tried to check the records, and the World Bank is saying that for us to meet this sustainable goal, the 17, in the next 6 years, we need $1.6 trillion if we are to attain such. If you convert that to Nigeria, I think some of us may fail, so we don't need to convert. So I will try to look at some of these things in relation to the atmospheric sciences. I may not be able to touch them, but try to look at some of them. Now, I try to look at the environmental components. We have the red aspect, where the areas are marked red. You have the oceans, like the hydrosphere, we have the atmosphere, the biosphere, and also the lithosphere. In all of this, you find out that in all of this, if there is going to be a sustainable development, there must be a balance in these components. But because of our social sophistication, because we want to live a life of everyday changes and higher, the biosphere is now being degraded. And once the biosphere is degraded, obviously it will tell on the lithosphere, it will tell on the atmosphere, and the hydrosphere will feel it. So, because there is no balance in these, environmental challenges now abound because of the imbalances in them. And what are the environmental components, environmental challenges that exist, which is affecting mankind today? These are the environmental and atmospheric challenges. Pollution, deforestation, climate change, indiscriminate group burning, extreme weather, rain and windstorm, drought, desertification, flood, erosion, volcanicity, earthquake, and natural wildfire. These three are not very common in Nigeria. Although some people say there is natural wildfire, they will have bushfire, but this natural wildfire is still debatable. So if these three are not very common in Nigeria, but look at what we have in Nigeria, the laboratory of progress, that we, the environmental scientists, have been looking into and must look into if the sustainable development is to be met. Next one. Now, I try to pick each of some of them. I pick pollution. Now, air pollution, gas flaring in the Niger Delta is a very serious issue. I love seeing this because I was part of this. About 35 years ago, I was involved in things like this because my village is just by the flare site. There were 3 stacks like this standing. When the pressure was reducing, they lowered them to 2. After some time, it became 1 high. Today, all of them are lying like this. So, we call it tapioca in my place, or popo gari, or whatever you call it. Then if you fry them and everything together with the gari, you go very close to the flesh and wear very thickly because of the heat. You go there, spread them, you run away, you go there, spread them, you let them 2-3 hours, they are dried. You take them home for sale. We are not talking about impact of carbon that will affect them at that time. We use this, we grew up with this. But the implication of these two types of air pollution is that this one is not concentrating much on the local environment because of the plume, the air, the mixture. But this one concentrates more within the local activities. And look at what I grew up to see. And today, it is still going on. That tells you the volume of carbon that must have been there. Who knows? Whether when I live and die, it will still be there. It is a problem that has been, and it is increasing. Now, this is air pollution, industrial air pollution in cities. Most cities in Nigeria. This is a problem, very serious problem in many countries in Nigeria. We are developing, we are industrializing, and it is also coming up. Water pollution. Now, this is more or less under the goal 3 and 14. What about health and life underwater? This pollution is killing most of the life underwater. And if most of the life underwater is dead, how can we attain sustainable development? Then this is life on land. Land pollution is also there. So if you look at what human is doing in terms of pollution, if we don't reduce it drastically, we cannot be talking of sustainable development now, let alone in the next generation. Next, okay? Erosion and flood. In 1998, when I was employed in the University of Benin, this gully was a very small place. But because of negligence and not doing much, obviously, there are so many staff who are living in staff quarter. They have run away from the house allocated to them. Today, most of the roads are gone. The community between us is all gone. I'm talking about sustainable development, even in the university. However, it's difficult. Now, these are vanishing coastline because of sea level rise and coastal inundation. It's destroying the ecosystem and the environment. This is where we are. This is your Lokoja in 2022. And you know the impact that this had. Some few days ago, the Lokoja Dam that created this problem has also been opened. So, I don't know whether we say we should pray that it should not be as much as this, or we don't know what to really say now, if we are to be developed. This is Meduguri last week or last 2 weeks. We know how many lives that are lost. I was talking about sustainable development. This is just only erosion and pollution. I tried to look at another one again, which is climate. Climate change and extreme weather. This is where geologists, some geologists, and atmospheric scientists don't agree. Geologists and Trump, Trump of US, they believe that the weather, the climate has been changing over the years. So what is happening now is not a new thing. But let's look at, we are going to compare this with the next slide, and we see the differences that exist. You know, just go up, go up, and say that exists. During the Paleozoic era, and within the Seluvian period, the temperature of the world on average was about 33 degrees Celsius. Compared to the average temperature of the world, which is 15 degrees Celsius. So as at that time, the temperature of the world even was higher, twice what we are experiencing today. Then look at this period, during the Persian period, 32 degrees Celsius. Now, go to this period, about 30 degrees Celsius higher, and it decreases to this point, -10 in this common era, is rising again. So, The issue is that if the temperature has been going up and down, why are we worried now? The next slide will now tell us the reason for the current increase in temperature. We are not even going back to about 500 million years ago. Just about 6,000 years ago, the population of the entire world was just about 6 to 7 million people. Just some states in Nigeria spread all over the world. So that cannot increase the gases that destroy the environment down to zero error, which let us assume when Jesus Christ, those of us are Christian, Jesus Christ was born. The whole population of the whole world is about 200 million. It's about the population of Nigeria. So if we spread Nigeria all over the world, that cannot make any impact to increase the temperature as much. Today it's about 8.2 billion. So if the temperature there, if the population there was low, temperature was high. Now population is high, the temperature is still far lower. That tells us that the causes of the geological variation in climate change was not anthropogenic but natural, which means either the earth is getting closer to the sun because of the gravitational pull of the sun to the earth, or something else, terrestrial factors. But today, it is because of we who are here destroying the environment that making the temperature to be higher. Challenges of climate change. We have a lot of challenges in climate change, both in the atmosphere, water, transport, health, among others. I picked some of them. In terms of atmosphere, there is increase in global temperature. Since meteorological reading started in 1850. That's 1850. This one's supposed not to be degrees Celsius. It's supposed to be 1860 BC. That's 8 So I would not forget about this. There has been an increase of 1.1 degrees Celsius. We are going to compare this to what is happening in Nigeria in some slides ahead. There has been an increase in evapotranspiration. There is increase and decrease in rainfall based on location. The coastal areas, rainfall is increasing, while the continental interior, rainfall is decreasing. That brings a problem of flooding and desertification. There is increase in pollution, atmospheric pollution, because of human activity. And extreme weather is going on all the time. We hear of hurricane, we hear of flood, we hear of drought, wildfire. We are happy that in Nigeria, hurricane is not a problem here. If one hurricane sweeps across some cities in Nigeria, almost everybody will go because of the type of building that we have. Look at what the tremor that is happening in Papi, in Abuja, everybody is shouting. If it goes more than that, you will see what happens. So, since the temperature of the world is increasing, I try to look at the 10 warmest year since records started in 1850. The 10 warmest year are within the last 10 years. Which means every year new records are created. Every year new records are created. So between 2014 is one of the warmest years. Now you go to 2015, you have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, then 23. So last year became the warmest year on record. And this year has started. So this is what the temperature of the world is going. And this is the decadal equivalent of what is going on. So we are facing global warming and is affecting the rate at which we can attain the sustainable goals. I try to compare Nigeria data system with the world. This is what Nigeria Meteorological Agency has, and this is a global system. I took from 1970 to 2022 And if you look at the temperature trend, the trend line, you can see the increase between 1970 and about a year or 2 years ago. And from here, you can see all of them are above the normal, while some few ones are below the normal here. Look at the globe. Right from the mid-70s, it has been on the high side, telling you that the whole world temperature is increasing all over the world. And once temperature increases, it affects every other thing. Now, if you look at increasing temperature, in less than 60 years ago, right from 70 till 2022, temperature in Nigeria increased by 1.7 degrees Celsius, while that of the world is 1.6 for the past 100 years plus. The implication is that the rate of temperature increase in Nigeria is higher than the global temperature rate. Then another thing in Nigerian climatic condition based on Nigerian meteorological data is that the minimum temperature increase, the rate at the minimum temperature is increasing, is higher than that of maximum. What do I mean? It means that the rate at temperature is increasing in the night, which have the minimum temperature. The rate is higher than what is increasing in the daytime. And that has a lot of implication on the plants that are adapted to certain climatic conditions, the crops. We also will have about maybe 20 degrees Celsius in the night, or you can sleep well, time to now have 22, 23. So the night is hot, the day is hot. Then there is decreasing rainfall amount across the country, but there is a slight increase in the coastal regions. The coastal region is having some little increase in rainfall, while the continental increase in many parts of Nigeria is having decreased rainfall. Now, if there is decreased rainfall, why are we not having floods all over the place? The reason why we are having floods, although the rainfall amount is decreasing, is because there is increasing rainfall intensity. And the amount of rain that falls within 1 hour, 2 hours is higher than what it used to be. So once the rainfall, the volume of rain that falls is higher than what the earth can absorb, what infiltration can be, then definitely there must be runoff. And that runoff must accumulate somewhere. And that is what is causing the floods. There is swing in short dry season. We always call it August break. You call the name August break because before now, August, they used to have very lengthy period of dry season, 2-3 weeks. But nowadays, it's no longer happening more in August. At times it swings to September, at times it swings to July. So in that case, there is a problem. In my village, we normally have festival in August, because that is the period of dry spell where many people can come and do. Today, in most of the years, the heavy rainfall will disturb people in the festivity. Then there is increasing dry spells. Now the dry spell is short of rain in between rainfall. The frequency of this dry spell is longer and the duration is longer and the frequency is small. I don't know what's about Lokoja here this year, but the area, the southern part where I will walk this year and part of the north, there was almost 3 to 4 weeks of no rainfall in last month, where most of the crops almost dried up. These are dry spells. Are supposed to be 2-3 days rain will fall before, but now 1 week, 2 weeks there will be no rain. Now there is shorter growing season. If there is shorter growing season, it means that the crop that are used to 5 months of rainfall, if you plant them now, you may have problem in harvesting them. These are issues. Now we look at the hydrosphere. The hydrosphere is just the water. And we have 2 things in water. Either it is too much or it is too little. That is why, in most cases, I don't like the word TOO. Too much is not good. Too little is not good. But there is one thing that too, I don't know whether it is good or bad, you will tell me. When somebody is too fat, is it good? Or if person is too slim, they will ask, I feel like saying, not get HIV. Too tall, too short, too poor. What of too rich? That is why I said in that word. Many people will not see it, but if you are too rich, it's like you lose sense of humanity in most cases. Although it depends on how you get the riches. So, too much water leads to flood, too little water leads to drought. Now, let's look at challenges of too much water. Due to the melting of the continental ice. In Nigeria, because of too much rainfall, last year, 23 states, based on NIMET prediction, had too heavy rainfall that led to flooding in those states. Too much water led to coastal inundation because all the ice, the melt and everything show that if most of the ice in the Arctic and Antarctic melts, there will be a rise of 60 meters of water. And there is 60 meter rise of water, with many towns in Nigeria will be inundated. Even if there is a rise in 5 meters of rainfall, most of these cities will go into existence, will not be in existence. Lagos, Warri, Port Harcourt, Forcados, and those coastal areas will not, because they are within that reach in some cases. Coastal erosion is going on. Lagos, Ayedoro is having those problems. River flooding, River Benue, Niger, then urban and rural flooding is becoming occurrent. And this picture comes back again. Too much flood in Maiduguri, flooded area in Lagos. This was last year, and look at the condition under which people are moving. In terms of health, how will you describe this? People are crying on this. What about this? Well, then there's a flood, it enters the sockaway, it enters everything, and all of them, the bacteria will be happy, they are given freedom. And sweating under within them give a lot of problems. Go back again. Now, this is Ayedoro. Is having a very serious problem of this sea level incursion, because of, if we go to Ayedoro, they will tell you, they will show you some stark distance into the sea that my grandfather, my uncle were living around that pool, but now it is inside the sea. Many people are running away because of coastal inundation. And these are problems created by the environmental issues. Next. Challenges of too little water is always drought and desertification. We are talking about little rainfall now and how it affects crops. It also affects the groundwater, it affects everything. The limited water, lack of surface water, affect rivers. Most rivers that are navigable throughout the year, nowadays they are seasonal. Most lakes are drying up. So it affects domestic use, affecting irrigation, industrial, and the like. Then it also lowers the groundwater table, because if there is no much rainfall, there will not be much infiltration. And if there is much infiltration, obviously the ground table water will go down. Because wilting of crops and famine, hunger will come up. Scarcity of animal food will be there, and death of animals. And once all these ones are dying, human can hardly resist. Now this is some of the examples. If you go to Yobe, this is a sea in Yobe. The whole massive area is covered by sand. You can't farm there. Most of the villages are packed away, and the sand dune is moving, is coming on year in, year out. So in such condition, there must be migration. And if there is migration from the northern part of Nigeria based on the impact of climate change, where will they go? Middle belt or southern Nigeria? And if the coastal inundation increases People from the coast will now move. Where will they go? More and more the middle belt. So the conflict that we're having today is just minor if things continue. With time, it will be much because of limited resources that people will struggle with. Too little water. See your animal dying because there's no water, no grasses for them. Then look at where people are getting water. We were in one village called Kotika in Adamawa State, very close to Son. We were there in year 2000. We went back again for a reverse part of the work we were doing there. And the river that was almost navigable throughout the year, this is what people are doing during the dry season. They will dig, water will come, they will scoop the water and take them to drink. Put alum and the words. So, what is the quality of alum that they put? Doesn't matter. So, these are issues of little water. Look at your crops drying in your eyes and there is no water to bring out. How can you have sustainable development? How can Nigeria have sustainable development if you cannot give the farmers water to even use in their farm? If they are not giving them water to use in their own land, so we're talking about sustainable development, sustainable health, sustainable what? Okay, let's see. Now, challenges of climate change in extreme weather events, because this is a key thing that is disturbing the global aspect today. Extreme weather events, they come in terms of hurricane, tornadoes, cyclone, typhoon, flood, rainstorm, thunderstorm, dust storm, drought, wildfire, then winter condition. It is surprising that in last week, the Scandinavian countries that are in the cold area, cold climate region, are having wildfire now, which is really, really disturbing event. So it is coming on and the gravity are increasing. All of these are natural phenomena that have been existing, but the magnitude at which they exist is what is disturbing us. Next. I tried to look at the mega disaster costing at least 20 billion naira. This one is not all the disasters. These are disasters that have cost nothing less than 20 billion, one of them. I pick each of them at the red line we show. If you look at Hurricane Katrina that happened in the year 2005, it cost over $182 million dollars. Look at the drought and the white drought to heat wave of US in 1988. Look at. Then see wildfire, what it has cost. And all of these, they are coming. They are smaller ones which are not within this ranking. And it's affecting various aspects of the world. Whereas these countries that are even most affected, they have money more than enough to spend on war equipment, more than enough to go and destroy other countries, but they cannot give these ones for sustainable development. Next. This is 9 deadliest climate-induced disasters worldwide between 1980 and 2022. Look at the Hurricane Nagis. It killed over 140,000 people. The tropical cyclone and storm that happened in Bangladesh and others, over 130 million. Down before you come to Hurricane Mitch, which is the last one, over 11,374 people are killed. These are the mega ones. The ones that are killing 10 people, 20, 50, 100, are not within this one. And everywhere. Okay? Now, you look at the Medjugorje, you look at what's happening in Southern Sudan. Last 2 days, Southern Sudan had their own, and many people are running away. Bangladesh is also having their own. These are issues of global concern, which we environmental scientists have the power to resolve based on our knowledge, based on our training. But are we given the opportunity to stand so that he can go? We will know later. Let's continue. Now, these are part of extreme weather condition. Look at this electricity sample. Because of the cold weather condition, Most of the lines are covered by snow. So for that reason, you must have to remove all the snow before you can get electricity. It's a problem. Electricity facilities pulled down by windstorm, and it's happening here and there. If this should happen in my own country, I'm not talking about your own, in my own country, it is the community that will go and buy poles, the community will go and buy wire. If you don't do that, forget it for the next 2 to 3 years. That is a problem. This is a wildfire, burning down electricity. So all of these are problems that are affecting the energy sector if we are to come up in the next. Climate change is all woes. Is a climate change problem. It's the only problem, or there are some good things that are related to climate change? The answer is no. Climate change has some advantages. One, the melting of the ice in the temperate region definitely lead to expansion of crops. So production of crops is now going up in the temperate region. It gives longer growing seasons to some areas. The ice in the high latitude, most of them will be melting and will have more land to produce. Because of that, the scientists have come up to be bringing up drought-resistant crops that can withstand that, improve irrigation also. And there is increased access to natural resources because most areas that are trapped because of ice something are now freed. Fewer deaths are also coming up because of the harsh winter next. Improved navigation. Most of the sea ice that have studied navigation in the polar region are reduced. There is now use of solar energy. It's now becoming more globally. But in Nigeria, the use of solar energy is not, it is because of more or less high increase in the tariff. So people are forced to leave the national grid and find their own. My friend was saying about 35,000 naira in electricity every month. But unfortunately, his house is under the band A. And when they gave him the bill, 120-something thousand naira a month, he went to call NEPA, disconnect it, so that I can go. If I do 120,000 naira for light every month, what is left for me and family to feed? So, the economy is dragging us to go into this. There are new economic activity, global collaboration is coming, and there's a expansion of habitat that is going on. Then, environmental and atmospheric science and sustainable goals, zero, or that's supposed to be or zero or no or zero hunger. We can attain this. How? Sustainable mechanized agricultural system. If that one is done, young people will go into farm. Instead of using hoe and cutlasses, if there are machineries and everything, that the young ones will cooperate, will go in. Then provide improved farming implement for the peasant farmers. They can do much. Provide security, because this is what is affecting Nigeria today. Those who have the energy to work, who have the zeal to go to work, but for fear of insecurity, they will not like to go. So hunger is another development. If the economy is developed, poverty will be reduced, and inequality will also be reduced. So for that reason, we can then attain it. Reduce food waste and encourage redistribution. I don't know whether most of us have plenty of food waste nowadays because of this economy. How many of us are wasting food? One woman was beating her daughter. Why? Because he said she took food in the evening, she didn't want it, by the next day the food gets served. Look at how much you put of soup now, and you allow the soup to serve. So for that reason, you'll be in trouble, serious beating. So before now, it would have just been mass talk, so no wastage. Building resilience, fine. Sustainable goal 7, 11, and 13. These are things you can do. Sustainable and renewable energy can work. Smart and green. Smart, green, and resilient cities can work. Urbanization processes, in terms of building, in terms of design, all of them, urban forestry, green recreation, if we follow this, funding and financing researches is key to us. In Nigeria, we don't really have these resources. Environmental science, we don't have much of it from Nigeria. Most of the researches that we have, they are from outside the country. So Nigerians will come up, give us more money, we do much work, and we'll come. Then early warning and partnership. All of these are things we could do to attain these goals. Next. Mitigation measures. If you have these, fine, it will help us. Next. Sustainable building and cities. Most of us are guilty of this. Most of us here. The richer you are in Nigeria, the more you are guilty of sustainable buildings. You have a compound like this. After doing it, building your house, what you do, you put interlocking tiles everywhere to be neat. And our women, in most cases, special apology, the problem too. We cannot sweep. It's okay, let's plan. It's not like I cannot sweep trees and everything. Let's make it neat. We don't like neat things. But if we don't do this, we are not helping the environment. Okay? Next. The role of environmental and atmospheric science in attaining the goals. Most of these things, we are all going to be our own part. But I will now narrow it to my own area and area of most people that are here, what climatologists and meteorologists can do, where the Nigerian Meteorological Agency is also part of it. The main thing is climate service and early warning. Once you have climate service and early warning, obviously most of these goals will be lesser in terms of impact. Next. Now, the role of climate services, what will it do? Nigerian Meteorological Agency is under the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development, but we provide services and climate services to all sectors: agri, environment, health, water resources, power, all of them, building and construction. We provide valuable information to this. And if we use them, it will help. Next. Now, by what means does NIMET provide climate services and early warning? Annual seasonal climate prediction. For the past how many years, over 10 years ago, NIMET have been doing this. We produce it every year between January or February. We produce this information. And the information, everybody is invited. All sectors are invited, no restriction. So I will get it, that's why I say it is open. And copies of this, the physical copy, are valuable if you go and to NIMET, you get them, and NIMET gives them to states, to ministries. And they are still there online. This information is there for 5 languages. We have the English, the Pidgin English, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba, so that most people can get it. NIMET also go to states and local government area to downscale this information, so that you have this, everybody can get this information. In addition to this, NIMET also gives monthly and quarterly bulletin on weather forecasting, air quality, agro-met, hydrometeorology, all of this marine met, in terms of monitoring the weather and also giving early warning. But how many of us are using this information? Next. This information are valuable in daily TV presentation. In social media, they are all there. Either Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, they are all there. This information is also in NIMET website. NIMET also have collaboration with Ministry of Agriculture and international organizations and going to farmers in the local villages to make sure that we get this information. We are even giving we even give rain gauges to farmers to use. And NIMET has also graduated for the past 4 or 5 years in giving weather stations to institutions. I don't know whether this university has gained from it. Weather station, NIMET has given more than 100 universities and polytechnics weather stations, standard weather station, that did not. NIMET gave them. Fine. You see, so all of these are issues that we give. If you have and it's not functioning, come to NIMET, we'll put it in order so that you get the information locally and also use it for other people. Next. Now, this is the prediction, part of the prediction that we gave January, February this year. This just only of rainfall. The states with significant flooding in 2024, Lagos, Bauchi, Borno, Sokoto, Zamfara. This is the rainfall amount predicted. Now, these are the states that will have rainfall above normal. If you look at here, Borno is one of the states that have rainfall above normal. And because of the heavy rainfall in Borno, the dam could not sustain the volume of water and it collapsed. If they had taken this into operation, probably that impact would not be there. Sokoto, Zamfara, they are also having their share of rainfall this year and flooding. NAMED has created this in January. Then, look at the western region, Lagos, everything, Ondo and Edo State. We have this information since then for policymakers to use. But are they using this information? It is only when it happens that we say palliative. What palliative can you give to me? If my house collapses, if my certificate is destroyed, what palliative are you giving to me? Nothing. So, we the environmentalists and atmospheric scientists, we are doing our bit to make sure that we attain these goals. But those people who are responsible to implement, are they implementing? That is the question. Next. Now, this is the missing link. Why all the effort all of us environmental scientists are doing that are not leading to fruition is that there are missing link between all of us who are environmental atmospheric scientists are here and the policy makers, the policy implementers, and the general public. They are not using this information. So this information is more or less useless. If they use this information that we are all here, if we look at all the papers are presented, either in air, in environment and everything, if you put all of them together and they use them here, Nigeria will be a better place. Rather, advanced countries will use most of this information in their own area. We are not using them. Until this missing link, this chain, broken chain, is readjoined again, I tell you, Nigeria cannot be talking about sustainable development because we, the environmental scientists who understand the environment, the problem environment, and provide a solution to them, we are not fully recognized. And if you look at the few that are recognized, they may not even be the best, and they're not even giving the free hand to operate. Until this missing link is there, Nigeria is not talking about sustainable development. Next. Conclusion. Environmental and atmospheric problems are increasing and impacts intensifying. There are no two ways about that. This affects the attainment of the SDGs globally and Nigeria in particular. Partnership and collaboration are key if the SDGs are to be attained. Then environmental and atmospheric scientists have the solution if the government gives them the opportunity to play their parts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That ovation is for the professor who has just presented one very beautiful paper. Can we make it louder? 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 Thank you very much. Again, now welcome back the chairman, LOC. So please continue with this session.
Please give him another round of applause to very distinguished Professor Oju. Now we are at the interactive session, questions, contributions. We want to recognize initially, Chairman, sir, we thought that for those who invited that would come from our stakeholders to be part of those that would give Google messages, or we decided that we skip Google messages so that we can engage ourselves intellectually. But as it were, now that Professor Jomo has delivered his lecture, we would like to receive comments, questions, and contributions, and then skip the Google messages so that we can move into the next session of the conference. So, with your kind permission, we'll have just maybe 5 to 10 minutes for this exercise. So, I would, if you are interested in contributing and questioning, then you can raise your hand, identify yourself, and then introduce yourself, and then make your comments. So, Professor, the Director of the Program, Professor Hadi Zuberu. Next is Professor Sunday Erika Deobi. Next is Professor Abejide. So far, then I can see one hand of Yukwa. Yukwa is somewhere in the last 12 years. So we have 4 hands up. Yes.
Chairman, sir, I want to start by applauding
Your name, sir. Your name.
Okay, Professor Hadi Zuberu is my name. I occupy the position of Director of Academic Planning in the university. I'm actually a botanist by training. While growing up, we used to be told about conservation of renewable resources. I must say, I noted that you said the rate of temperature increase is highest or higher in Nigeria than anywhere else in the world. As going by your lecture, population also does not have effect on what we are having, the experience we have in the world today. So, now, with increase in population, as you compare actually, one would expect that because of the utilization of the natural resources, which are supposed to have been conserved, and of course, when we used to be given the information that if you conserve the natural resources, it can be available for a much longer time. If you plant trees, it can help to alleviate or reduce temperature. But from your lecture, you have said that population in the past was small, temperature was low. Population is high now, but temperature is still high. So, my question is, why specifically Nigeria having excessive increase in temperature compared to other places of the world? And secondly, does it mean that assuming we have adhered, which is always difficult anyway, if we have adhered to conservation of natural resources, would we still be having high temperature? Thank you very much, sir.
Professor
The Chairman, sir, members of the Anyigba participants, I would like to commend our professor with a very good lecture. My comment is under.
So we want to catch you, introduce yourself, and then the organization.
I'm Professor Sunday Adeobi. I am the Director of Fund Career Service Center, Federal University Lokoja. I want to, under your missing link, you mentioned policy makers, policy implementers, and their public. Will it be out of place, sir, that this conference suggests to government that there will be for a tripartite committee to look at some of the things for the district? Because if you bring policymakers together, mentors, and the general public, it might be possible for them to agree on certain things and some of the implementations. Again, I want to suggest on
environmental challenges. One of them is flooding. I know we talk about we have water everywhere, yet there is no water for people to drink. I'm also aware that the Chinese are creating artificial dams and rivers, several hundreds of them, because they are saying that there will be water war in the future. And for us, we already having water war here. I want to also suggest that this tripartite committee will take up some of these challenges like flooding, because when there is flood, these states most of the time is cut off, especially from the northern part, from the river, the bridge, and it's always very difficult. So we need that of place also to suggest that some earthen dams be made or artificial rivers, so that when this water comes, it will flow into it, and herders and farmers' conflict will reduce. We already having more in that area, so that these waters can be used and then for people. And this water, we can transport petrol far and near. We can also transport this water to where there is drought. This is just
Yes, Professor Abejide, your name and then your organization.
Thank you very much, sir. Congratulations, Mr. Presenter. I love that presentation, and I must give you a big clap. However, there is a missing link somewhere. 3 questions for you, sir. You will recall that you said that the coastal regions have been flooded. The cities are sinking. I'm on the board of the world to solve that problem. Why the coastal lines are sinking by half an inch every year, but we meet ourselves privately. Then, to solve the problem of these who are flooding in Nigeria through the Benue River, River Niger, and Upper River Niger, and Lower River Niger. You will recall that there was a dam that was awarded one time by the Nigerian government around, I can't remember exactly, but around Taraba State, that Buhari wanted to resuscitate, and they broke legal laws. You also recall that Lake Chad is drying up very fast, at a very fast rate. Recently, last week, Maiduguri was flooded, and about 2 days ago, the Sahara Desert was flooded with rains. You will recall also that Southern Sudan, as you said, is flooded, or was flooded, and there is a lot of problems. However, that of Maiduguri, the problem there was that there was a design problem and a specification problem, because the volume of water during the design, I was there. I lived in Maiduguri for about 9 years, especially when they were constructing Abuja. But I told them at that time that they should provide a dike that will move the water to new mountain that takes another dike that will recharge the channel. Now, the water that is coming from Benue, Lagido Dam, I don't know whether Lagido River in Cameroon, is it not possible, sir, to recharge the channel with that water? I spoke to some people in inland waterways. They are working on it, on some other things here in Lokoja. I just gave it out to one of my graduate students to work on the 2 aspects where 20 kilometers into River Niger, 20 kilometers into River Benue, and 20 kilometers from Lokoja along the river. So we are going to meet you much later. The next thing is this. This northern part that is being dried up, is it not possible, as the last person who spoke said, we should just divert these waters from the various rivers and create artificial rivers with their respective dams along that zone that's near Atikus village, you recall? And then we solve a lot of problems inland. Also is in Katsina and around Sokoto area. And also try to solve the problem in Lokoja. My vice chancellor will bear you witness that I said the problem in Lokoja can be solved. And part of it is why the Faculty of Engineering have partnered with CR for this conference.
Mr. Int'l, that's the first set of questioners. You, Crab? Yes. You will respond to this first set and then we'll go to the next phase of the question. Mr. Int'l.
Okay, thank you very much, late presenter. My name is Yikwabs. I'm with the Department of Sociology with this great institution. I want to join the conversation in respect to my area of specialization, which is the conflicts, specifically the farmer-header conflicts. Because at the heart of the farmer-header conflicts is the issue of climate, issue of ecological changes. From my interaction with farmers and headers over time, I noticed that it seems there's this knowledge gap in terms of their understanding of the conflicts in terms of the society. Wherein, rather than looking at it from the angle of climate change, most of the farmers look at the conflict from the prism of maybe indigenous settler dichotomy, the political and then the religious are one and two. So is it that we are not doing enough in terms of awareness to the farmers vis-a-vis the importance of climate to farmer-header conflict? Because most of the narration, you go to the settler dichotomy, and then you don't hear farmers talking about the real issues, the underlying factors, such as population explosion, as well as this climate change. Like some of the people who talk earlier, somebody mentioned the fact that most of the water bodies are drying up. So what can you say in terms of this sustainability in respect to the farmer-header conflict? How can we have food security? Sustainability of food security vis-a-vis farmer-header conflict. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. See, if you present a paper and there are no comments, it shows that the people are not listening or they are not interested. But if you have tutorials of comment and questions like this, it makes me happy, showing that you followed the lecture. I will try as much as possible to put some light to them. The first question is like there is a misunderstanding of my interpretation of the population and the geological weather condition. What I said is that in the past geological years, temperatures were higher than what we have now. Okay? Whereas population was low. So which means it is not population then that increased the temperature at that time. But now, temperature is not as high as it was some thousands of millions of years ago. But the temperature is increasing. That shows that what is causing the temperature increase now is not the natural factor, because there are two factors that lead to increasing temperature. Natural factors or human factor. The natural factor is the sun, the gravitational pull of the sun. If draws the earth closer to the sun, draw the earth closer to it. And in that case, the temperature will be higher because the earth is closer to the sun. In that case, there is nothing human being can do to reduce that. Then if the gravitational pull of the sun is a bit weaker, the earth will drift away from the sun for some distance. Then we'll have the cold period. That is what the fluctuation we have in that picture. But as of now, there is no evidence whatsoever that the gravitational pull, the earth is getting closer to the sun. No. Which means the temperature is supposed not to increase. That was the reason why the reason for the increment starts. If you look at it in the early 90s, when this issue of global warming started, but it was not really climate change at the beginning, it was global warming. The earth is getting higher. The science of climate change came in, and the issue of global warming was established that the earth is increasing, temperature is increasing. Then why? After knowing that it's increasing, then what is making it increase? Then the causes now came out. These are the reasons, greenhouse gases that the earth is emitting, and destruction of the ozone layer in the troposphere. And the gap between the troposphere and the stratosphere, the tropopause. Now, the ozone layer is decreasing, so there's water infiltration coming in. And we are increasing the greenhouse gases here. So the temperature is being increased because the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, they trap the heat. So now, if we come on the natural factor, we don't supposed to have increase in temperature. But since population is increasing and we are destroying every segment of the environment, especially the waters, the pollution in the waters, because the ocean, the water bodies, they absorb, that's called carbon sequestration, absorb about 60% of carbon that are emitted on Earth. But once it is polluted, it will not absorb as much. So look at the double problem. The water is polluted, so the carbon in the atmosphere will be absorbed into those waters. Then number two, we are destroying the vegetations. And the vegetation that are supposed to absorb most of the carbon and release oxygen and oxygen, they are being reduced. That's why we have carbon concentration in the atmosphere that trap the temperature that is making it increase. Okay? So these are the things that are there. And the really factor is the cost now, but not natural factor. Then about the missing link, yes, this conference, at the end of the conference, there is going to be a communique. And these are the suggestions, the tripartite committee, and anything you think can help to solve the problem, we put them in the communique and make them available to policy makers and implementers. Definitely it will work. Then about the dams, there is a paper presented in April, and we suggested, even before now, when we're talking about Bago Dam reducing heat. And about 4 years ago, we worked with this National Institute of Biological Resources, NIMED working with them. We made some suggestions that unless there are buffer dams along the River Benue, there is no way we can not talk about flooding in Lokoja and down to Delta. So we must have at least 1 or 2 buffer dams. If the first one absorbs the water, and find it difficult, we cannot release, the second one will absorb. Before the 2 dams will absorb them, we'll be talking about this problem of flooding downstream. So these are the issues. If the policymakers, they are the one listening, if they implement this, that's what I'm saying. We have a solution. We give the solution now, but we are not the one implementing. If they do this, fine. How much will it cost? Their interest is relief measures. We are giving 10 billion, 500 billion for relief measures. Why not put that in the dams? So if we put that in the dams, Probably, I don't know, I don't want to speak English. We will not get what this means. Right. Then, apart from that, somebody talk about the coastal cities sinking. True, coastal cities, of them are sinking, and the sea level is also rising. So the combination of these factors that is bringing the problem that we're having in the terms of coastal flooding. But about recharging the charge with the water from the Lagdo Dam, yes, it can be a solution, but the solution the sustainability of the solution may not be much, because it's not every year that the Lagdo Dam will have more excess water to release. That was the reason why they were saying the initial proposal was to bring water from Zaire River, to bring fresh water to the Lake Chad. When that issue was raised about 12 years ago, I was party to that. We suggested that instead of bringing water from River Zaire, which may have some economic problem, Nigeria can solve the problem. Look at what UAE is doing today. UAE is using water from the sea, remove the salt and pump the water into the place. If Nigeria alone can have oil pipeline from Okado down to Maiduguri, Nigeria can have those pipes. The pipes are here. It just desalts the water from the ocean. Constantly there will be water supply in that place, and the distance is much shorter in Nigeria than going to Zaire Republic in Zaire. So the solution remains with us in Nigeria if we are ready to do it. But unfortunately, even the river Chad, this Nigerian aspect did not have much water again. Where you have the water, and now in the Chad Republic, Nigeria actually is almost dry. And the river, the few rivers that are supplying Kamaluku Ghana, Kamaluku Yobe, Edeja, are supposed to supply fresh water. The rainfall with that area is decreasing, and the few dams are sucking the water. So no more fresh water is going in, except Nigeria has to stand up and desource the water, remove the salt, and pump the water to the Chad. We are done speaking grammar. That is why we need to move the government. We need to come up with environmental scientists. We have the solution. Let government help us to provide the solution. Then about conflict, our sociologists. Yes, the header farmer problem is a complex of both environmental factors and human factors. Environmental factor, climate change, right? Climate change is affecting the area, and eventually the issue of header moving themselves is there. But the human factor, population increase, and disregard to the cattle routes. We have cattle routes in Nigeria, and most of those cattle routes that originally initiated in Nigeria, they have been taken over by cities, by settlements, and everything. So the routes are no longer there for the farmer, for the herders to move from south to north. If you look at this conflict that is happening, it is not much in Jigawa State, because the government of Jigawa State provides a solution that if other states use, the problem will be reduced. In Jigawa, among the major roads, there is a limit of land that you must not farm, so that the farmers and the herders can go along with their cow and eat along the roads. But if you drive this road now, even in between the roads, they are planting things in between the two lanes. You plant all the bush and plant to the side of the road, you plant to the side of the road, and even in between the plant, where the demand and the animal pass. So these are some of the problems that we are facing. Collective solution is what will give us the solution to it. Government made its part, we did as we our part, and the environmentalists play our part in terms of advocacy, and if this one is done, obviously the issues and the problems will be resolved. Thank you.
Just two more, as indicated by Engineer Mrs. and then the head of the Department of Economics. Two more, finally, two more. These two, just these two.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir. I'm Engineer Mrs. Ishola. Sir, a very simple question, sir. How do you help we early career researchers to have access to all this data? Sir, you've been able to present something very brilliant because you have all the data very close to you. And a regular customer to Internet, accessing your data is very, it's like walking through the eye of needles. It's not very accessible. And sir, as an engineer, we do a whole lot of things regarding climate change. But fortunately in Nigeria, sir, nothing on climate change. Go to advanced countries, go to United States of America. Every locality have their data for heating, cooling, and refrigeration systems. And that is why, sir, the way all those equipment there perform efficiently well in Nigeria, by the time they design them and they bring them to us, they don't perform efficiently, sir. We just say that this thing is working. It ought to work better if our own data were used in the designing of all those. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Head of the Department of Economics.
Thank you, sir, for that brilliant presentation and for educating us. In our...
Your name and your organizer.
I'm Rotimi Matthew, the HOD Department of Economics. In our elementary understanding of geography on the spherical nature of the Earth, Magellan made us understand a lot of things, especially the situation of the Earth and the water. And we also understand that the volume of water on Earth is about 1.6 billion kilometer cube. Understanding this background, sir, in the creation, we are meant to understand that God created the Earth, and the Earth came without fault. And if you go down the bit to chapter 6 and to verse 6, I'm sorry, that God created a firmament between these waters, and that there is a vault for human man to stay. My first question is this, sir. Is it that the human beings of today have extended the firmament created by God, or God has been so generous to increase the volume of water He gave us that we have the trouble of the flood all over the world today, sir? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's the last time. The local organizing committee deputy chair wants to add, but I asked him that when he comes for his wrap-up, he may address that. So you wait for the wrap-up. Thank you.
Yeah, let me start from the last one. Spiritual geography. Yes. You see, there are connectivity between science and religion. The only thing is that science will need proof, while religion is belief. Belief don't ask questions. Science asks questions. Now, there is demarcation. God divided the water. And miraculously, He said, let the land come out of the water. And He did so. When God did that, the whole world was one. We're not having Africa, we're not having Europe, we're not having anywhere. Okay? Call the whole world one guy. But there is always conflict. Conflict within human, conflict within nature. There were conflict on the ground because the earth is like egg, raw egg. The outside is strong, the inside is soft.
down in the middle of the earth. It's very soft, molten magma. And when there is a movement, there were cracks. And the whole world divided into two. Africa was called the Gondwana land, while the Europe and Africa called Eurasia. Okay? Conflict continues again. It breaks. South America broke away from Nigeria, from Africa. Part of China, Australia, they broke away from Africa. So Africa, who was the father of the South, is becoming smaller by the day. And the South African Rift family is also cutting. So in those of us who will stay, maybe in the next 1 million years, we may see the friendship of Africa. I want to stay to 1 million years. So we see that. So the problem that is there is that one is natural. Two, we have distorted the biosphere. We humans, we have distorted the biosphere and also the lithosphere. Those people who were born in Lokoja here, who are up to 60 years and above, they will tell you the limit of Lokoja as at when they were small. Trees are everywhere, but now most of the trees are gone, leaving bare soils. No infiltration, erosion everywhere, flood, and it's everywhere. Okay? So it is because of these problems created by you and me that is causing this issue of flood and issue of not that the water has increased from somewhere, no. That not increased from somewhere. Because water is rotating. Evaporates, go up, fall as rain, go some flow away, some go down, it comes down. So it is just like a water fountain. Go up, come down. So it has not increased. It is because of you and me. We are bad tenants on this earth. And if I'm God, I would have evacuated everybody. Alright, then the last question. Talk about data. It is true, you can get data freely in Europe. Most of the data in America freely, but there is nothing free. Even in Europe, the data is not free. You are getting it freely because somebody has paid for the data, so they can be given to you free. It's like open access journal. If you pay, journal will be available to everybody. It's open access. In UK Met, we are always there. There is no year we don't go 2-3 times. UK Met, American mythology, German mythology, France, Metro. People pay millions of dollars every year to get those data. And once you get those data, that be paid for, you can release them to anybody that wants. But in Nigeria, if I tell you what NIMED goes through before we can get some of the instruments to use to get this data, it is too hell. Nobody pays for the data. And if NIMED is to say you should pay for the data, you cannot pay. What we are just getting, telling you to pay is, we call it recovery fee. Just small fragment of about 10-20% highest is what you pay. That is why we said we pay little so that we can also get for what we do. But the main reason why many people are not getting data from NIMED is the problem of application. You will write for data. You will not put email. You will not put phone number. How can they get back to you is the main problem. Because what NIMED has been for the past 5-6 years, if you apply for data, if your email is there, your phone number is there, immediately they generate the data and send to you the cost of the data. Once you pay through the data, they send it to you online. But if those things are not there, it is difficult to get back to you. So please, if you want data from NIMED, write. If you write, put your email, put your phone numbers, so that they can get back to you. If you are a student let the head department write that you are there, you write, sign, and if all those things come, it's just a minor thing that will take it from you, and you get the data. Data is available, and we want people to get there. We are not eating the data. The data we don't, they are not useful. So we want people to get the data and apply the data, okay? So NASRDA does all that. Even if you want to do wedding, if you want to do visual, tell us that this is the time we want to do visual. We will forecast it for you right in that spot and tell you if you want to do wedding so day. Don't wait till 2 o'clock before the spray. If you want to spray money, let the spray be around 12 o'clock because from 2 rain will start. So you get your information. Look at this Edo State election. We made it to them that the entire Edo State they will be ready for on Saturday, starting from 6 a.m. till about 1 o'clock in Edo State. We made it to them. But there is no way they can change the date again. And there was rain all over the place. So that is what we do. We can cascade it even to this university. So my visitor, if you want to do a very big event in any season, just get to us. We forgot the weather for you. Thank you very much. With NASRDA don't rule rain. NASRDA don't rule rain. Now they tell it will rain or it will not rain. But if you want us to contact the rainmakers are there. Okay? Rainholders and the rainmakers. They don't really hold the rain, but they disperse the rain. They disperse the rain. I'm a climatologist and meteorologist. I believe in it because my grandfather did it. My mother was part of it too. So I grew up with so many people are saying you can't do it. I said lie. It can be done. My grandfather was put it in the ear like this and move around. So long distance there will be no rain. But if you're afraid you don't pay the money, if you throw it in the wind, you forget it.
We want to clap finally for Professor Peter. I'll leave the other names. For Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Very quickly, sir, I'd like to invite the NOC Chair 2 for a very brief remark. Thank you, sir. Please, a round of applause for Professor Esther.
Thank you very much, the Vice Chancellor. Before I make my remarks, I want to address 2 issues. The last one that was said by Professor Ojugo. We have our own way. We have our own way of taking care of rain here in FUL. So we don't need anybody from private.
Don't worry. In the next convocation, we will bring rain.
No, we will handle that. They will go behind the heat. Yes, on a serious note, I want to appreciate Professor Jugo for the very wonderful lecture he has presented and everybody for our contributions. But there is a critical issue that I want to raise when we talk about climate change. When we talk about climate change, we talk of extreme weather conditions. And we all appear to have been looking at it from one perspective, from one angle, flood. And we say extreme weather condition. Extreme weather condition also includes drought. We appear to be looking at momentous situation. We are not looking at the future. It is possible now we are getting excessive rainfall and we are wasting it. We are wasting it. This is where the issue of the dam comes in. These have multiple purposes. The dams will conserve this water such that instead of allowing the water to flow away, drain into the Atlantic Ocean, we will save it, we will conserve it such that when the other extreme comes, that is the drought situation, we will have something to fall back to, and that is the waters that we have saved in the buffer dams. And so I think we need also to look at this other aspect of it. Yes, we're having flood now. Don't let us waste the waters. Let us save them, let us conserve them, because today you are having excess. Tomorrow you may have shortage. And when you have shortage, you need something to fall back to. That's what I want to draw attention to. So, having said this, let me do the assignments that I've been asked to do. I want to thank our Vice Chancellor for creating this opportunity. Thank the management of Federal University Lokoja, management of Center for Atmospheric Research, for bringing this together, for putting this together. Sincerely, we are happy and proud to be, co-hosting this event today. And I want to urge us that as we embark on the journey into this discourse, I want to implore us to harness the powers of the atmosphere, earth and space sciences to drive sustainable development and address pressing global challenges. I'm sure we are prepared for this in our various submissions. We have seen the abstracts. They are very good, robust, and we are very confident that we will be interrogating this effectively over the next few days. I will share knowledge, valuable knowledge together. We want to assure us that we have a communication committee, that every contribution that is made in this conference will be captured, will be considered in whatever we are putting together as a communique, and the communique for this gathering will be very rich, such that policymakers will have a very robust document to fall back to in providing solution to our atmospheric and our environmental problems. Thank you very much for coming, and I wish us a very beneficial conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency Mr. Okay, I have been asked to skip one and then move to the very last part of this conference, and that will be to welcome Dr. Najee to take a quick vote of thanks on behalf of CAR and NADA. Please come, put your hands together.
Thank you. Good afternoon once again. On behalf of the Director and Chief Executive Officer of Research, before that, I want to say definitely the last lecture has shared knowledge, and you can see the response from it. Every field is interdisciplinary lecture. Everybody must have gotten one thing or the other that he benefited from that. I personally entered the lecture, sir, and permit me to meet you for a brief discussion after this. On behalf of my director, who is sitting here, Dr. Anyigba, who is the current director and chief executive of the Center for Atmospheric Research, and the annex lab here that is being hosted by the university. We appreciate that, sir, and we promise you will continue to do the best to move the annex office to a higher level. Thank you so much, and I wish you a successful celebration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir. As the program is coming to an end, we'd like to request humbly that you rise with the high table members to take a group photograph and a couple of others like that, and then you lead them to the lunch table, sir. Please rise for a group photograph. Thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor to lead members of the high table.